Welcome everyone to another session of answer writing practice by Vajiram and Ravi, where we discuss 3 questions, 2 questions from static based on the syllabus that you have been looking at, which is uploaded at the portal, and 1 question based on the current affairs. Now let us see today's question. Today we will be discussing about science and tech, the 2 questions. The first is achievement of Indians in science and tech, indigenization of technology and developing new technology. The second point is awareness in the field of IT, space, computer, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology and issues related to intellectual property rights. Now let's see the questions. The very first question is about C.V. Raman and his contribution specifically related to the field of optical physics, which led him to Nobel Prize. The second, we are going to talk about intellectual property rights and how it has a crucial role with respect to promoting research and innovation in our country, and we also see issues about the same. The next, which is current affair based question, we are going to talk about the recently concluded meeting of Indian Ocean Rim Association, and we'll see what exactly is the focus area and how IORA is significant for India's interest. Let's start with the very first question. The very first question is about C.V. Raman. Discuss C.V. Raman's contribution in the field of optical physics, which earned him a Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. This question is basically about the contribution of Indians. You can start the introduction by giving a brief about C.V. Raman, how he was the first Indian to win the Nobel Prize. You can also talk about the importance of the contribution that he made, which is respect to the Raman effect, the Raman scattering. So that is something you can talk about in the introduction. You can also talk about how C.V. Raman played crucial role with respect to propagating science and scientific temper for the nation. Let's see the first body, which talks about the contribution of C.V. Raman in the field of optical physics. You can talk about the very first point, which is Raman effect. It talks about how light travels, and whenever there is any kind of interaction, there is certain change of wavelength, and how that change of wavelength can be studied and understood about the structure and all. You can also understand from the same that how it validates the quantum mechanics. It talks about light's dual nature as a particle as well as wave. So that is something you can talk about in the contribution aspect. You can draw diagram to make your answer little bit more visual and help the evaluator, the person who is checking your answer, to understand the conceptual clarity. Then you can talk about the application of Raman effects. The very first is Raman spectroscopy. As we talked about how Raman effect is about understanding about the wavelength and variation of the same. Through the same, you can understand how different material composition, chemical structure, molecular structure are. You can apply the same for different kind of fields. Like for chemistry, you can understand the molecular structure. For physics, you can similarly use the concept of Raman effect and understand different molecules, different structures, matters. For biology, understanding the cellular structure, and for material science, understanding the material and the composition and the structure. The same can be used for nanotechnology as well, as we are witnessing that nanotechnology is the future and it's helping us with respect to multiple domain. Understanding the material which is used in nanotechnology can be very beneficial, and Raman effect, the scattering effect, can give us idea about the structure. You can also understand remote sensing and planetary exploration can be kind of a tool through which Raman effect can be utilized. We can understand different celestial body, their composition, etc. So that is the application part for Raman effect. Now let us see the conclusion. In the conclusion, you can talk about that to celebrate the success of C.V. Raman, India designated his birthday 20th February as National Science Day to acknowledge the contribution that C.V. Raman has dedicated for our nation. So this is something you can write in your answer. Now, I would definitely push you to think a little bit more and understand that present Nobel Prize that we witnessed in the physics, which was about light, can also be applied in similar way. So you have to try to interlink things. Apart from that, do understand the importance of different people who have contributed for the science from Indian community and list them and make sure you have ready synopsis for all the topics. So let us see the model answer and understand how can we inculcate same in our answer writing practice. As we witness, In the introduction, you can talk about the impact, you can talk about the Nobel Prize, and you can talk about the Raman effect. In the contribution part, you can define the Raman effect as a phenomena of scattering of light by molecules and exchange of energy leading to causing change of direction of scattered light as well as the different physical conditions of light like wavelength and etc. You can also cite an example to give clarity, either make a diagram or give an example to give a better understanding of the concept. So you can cite one example like this. In the application part, you can talk about spectroscopy, nanotechnology and remote sensing, etc. And in the conclusion, you can talk about how we have designated his birthday as National Science Day to acknowledge his contribution. So that is something for question number 1. Let's move to question number 2. Question number 2 talks about intellectual property rights play a crucial role in promoting research and innovation. In this statement, discuss the issues in IPR regime in India. As we have witnessed that IP rights is very explicitly mentioned in the syllabus. You need to understand and define the IP rights as something as creation of mind. You can in the introduction talk about different kind of IP rights like patents, trademark, copyrights, utility model design, GI, trade secrets and plant breeders' rights. So there are various types of IP, intellectual property rights. You can encompass them in the introduction. In the first body, you can talk about the role of IP rights in promoting research and innovation. You can talk about how there are multiple ways through which IP rights is ensuring the research as well as helping with the innovation and bringing up the culture of ideation and all. So first you can talk about balancing competing interest. Over here you can talk about how intellectual property rights help safeguarding the innovation. At the same time, it also promotes public welfare. You can cite certain examples with respect to certain IP rights. You can talk about certain medical related IP rights that have helped with helping with respect to the public welfare. In the second, incentivizing investment. As IP rights are granted for longer duration of time, whenever there is certain kind of investment in research and development, they are safeguarded. As we have witnessed, like patent, they are given for 20 years. So such kind of facilitation helps with respect to investment. The third is fostering collaboration and technology transfer. We have witnessed that how IP rights exactly safeguards interest of the innovators. At the same time, it also helps with respect to the acknowledgement as well as transfer of the technology to different communities. We saw that how AstraZeneca, the vaccine that was created by different groups of another country, the technology was transferred to India and helped the masses fight against the pandemic. So these are some kind of features that you can talk about in promoting research and innovation. In the body 2, you can talk about issues in IPR regime in India, which is the second demand of the question. Over here, you can cite multiple limitations of the IPR regime and provide them with sufficient example to have good argument. The first is lengthy and complex patent examination process. We have witnessed that certain other countries versus India, the patent process is very difficult. India, it takes more than 50 months to pass the patent process, whereas countries like China have the process almost done in 20 months. So there is a kind of timeline issue which is lengthy and complex patent examination process. Second is major share of non-resident. Most of the IP rights that have been granted in India are granted to non-resident Indians. More than 60% of the IP rights is granted to the non-resident population. This shows how India must develop the capacity of the residents to ensure they also participate and get the intellectual property rights access to the same. Third is limited awareness and enforcement. As we have witnessed that there is not proper legal awareness about the intellectual property rights. There's also issues with respect to getting the benefit out of the innovation done by the local communities. So there is limited awareness and enforcement. The fourth is lack of appellate board. Due to abolition of the board, we have witnessed multiple pile-up of cases with respect to intellectual property right. So that is something of a bigger limitation here. And lastly is low funding. In India, the GERD, which is the term used for the same, is almost 0.07% of the GDP, whereas in developed country, it is more than 1 or 2%. So that is something which the nation must ensure to tackle the issue with respect to the IPR regime. In the conclusion, you have the opportunity to cite economic survey, specifically of 2020-21, the chapter 8, which talked about the innovation. You can talk about how India must ensure to spend higher amount of funding for research and development, which is India's gross domestic expenditure on R&D. Also at the same time, promote resident fellows to understand the intellectual property rights related legal framework, as well as incentivize them for innovation. That is something over here, and must ensure focus on performance of the institution and business sophistication. So innovation is incentivized. At the same time, you can also cite indexes like Global Innovation Index, where we have witnessed continuous improvement. So these are the points that you can write in your conclusion. So that is something for question number 2. Now let us see the model answer and understand how can we inculcate same in our answer writing practice. In the introduction, you can define as a creation of mind. You can list out different types of intellectual properties and talk about how they provide legal protection and remedies of the owner, etc. Then you can talk about the role of IPR in promoting research and innovation in the nation. You can cite different points with respect to the same and give proper substantiation to ensure your point is very holistic and sufficient. Then you can talk about the issues. Again over here, you can talk about different proof points to ensure whatever keywords and whatever arguments that you are presenting, they are backed by substantiation. And in the end, you can talk about the way ahead, how we must ensure to create robust and supportive intellectual protection regime that incentivizes research and innovation and protects the rights of creator, etc. So this is something for question number 2. Now let us see question number 3, which is current affair based. Question number 3. The natural urge of the facts of history and geography should broaden itself to include the concept of an Indian Ocean rim for socio-economic cooperation and other peaceful endeavors. In light of the statement, explain the priority and key focus area of IORA and its importance for India. Now you might get distracted with a huge sentence in the beginning of the question. Understand, you have to see the answer from a very logical perspective. UPSC has recurringly asked questions where they have expanded a sentence to just give you a bigger idea, but at the end the question is very simple. You have to talk about the priority and focus area of IORA and its importance for India. So just break down your questions into the most basic unit and then continue writing your answer. In the introduction, you can give brief or objective of the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Over here you can talk about the year of establishment. Over here you can also talk about how many members are present there. So this is something you can talk in the introduction. If possible, you can draw a rough sketch of the map to highlight the member nation. This is something you can integrate in your IR questions as well, wherever you have certain geographical groupings. So this is something for the introduction. Let us see the first body, which talks about the priority and focus area. The very first is maritime security and safety. As we have witnessed that Indian Ocean is a very sensitive region because of high intensity of the trade. We have witnessed multiple issues with respect to security. We have witnessed the menace of Somali pirates. That is something that you can cite as an example. So first point is to ensure maritime safety and security. The second is about trade and investment facilitation. Well, billions of dollars are invested in this region to ensure the trade is smooth, like we have Suez Canal. Apart from that, we have different states like Malacca state. The entire trade route is very much dependent on the security and facilitation of investment in this region. So that is something of the focus area for this organization as well. Third is disaster risk mitigation. In past, we have witnessed multiple disasters like tsunami, etc. That is something to that must be tackled, and that must be tackled in a way that it's a collaborative effort. And that's why organization which have multiple members like Indian Ocean Rim Association plays very crucial role with respect to mitigation of disaster. And fourth is blue economy. As we are witnessing that countries are now exploring the oceans for resources, blue economy becomes the core idea, the center point, the focal point of this kind of economic setup. For the same, even Indian Ocean Rim Association is ensuring that the focus area is blue economy that leads to empowerment of smaller as well as other nations to ensure there is sustainable development for all. So this is something of a priority and focus area about the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Now let us see its importance for India. Firstly, you can talk about the economic growth and trade. You can cite different data points. You can cite how the Indian Ocean Rim Association, the focal point which talks about the trade. There are good amount of export-import dependency over here. 80% of global oil is going through this geographical location. So these are the points that you can write in economic growth and trade and how it definitely and directly impacts India's growth story. The second is geopolitical importance. As we've talked about, there are different points such as Suez Canal, then we have Malacca Strait, etc. These are different geopolitical places of importance, and because they lie in the Indian Ocean, they also have crucial role for India's overall growth story. The third is security and maritime safety. We are witnessing China's influence through Belt and Road Initiative, through different kind of initiatives of China. We must ensure that India also safeguards its interest in Indian Ocean region. For the same, Indian Ocean Rim Association plays very crucial role. And the last is blue economy. India is going ahead with deep ocean missions, and these are based on specifically Indian Ocean. So Indian Ocean Rim Association also plays very crucial role here. So this is something you can write in the importance of IORA for India. And in the last way ahead, you can talk about how free open type of ocean access is something that India aligns with the UNCLOS as well as with IORA. You can talk about different initiatives like Indian Ocean Commission, Sagar Vision. They are also aligned with Indian Ocean Rim Association and development of nations and countries which are around Indian Ocean. And the last, you can also talk about how IORA, through its focus area of economic development, trade and investment facilitation, is ensuring sustainable development goals, right? So this is something you can talk in the conclusion of question number 3. Now let us see the model answer and understand how can we inculcate the same in our answer writing practice. So very first, you can talk about in the introduction about the establishment year. You can talk about the number of member state. So that is something you can talk about IORA in the introduction. In the body, first we are talking about priority and focus area. Over here, you give out different points and you cite specific examples to enhance the quality of your point. Like you can talk about Indian Ocean Dialogue for maritime safety, anti-piracy, specifically with respect to Somalia and Gulf of Aden. Then you talk about trade and investment facilitation. We have business forum. So these are some of the crucial points that you can cite and help your point look better. Then we have disaster risk mitigation. Along with UNESCO, we have synopsis on early warning systems. For blue economy, we have sustainable development program. For importance of IORA for India, we have economic growth and trade. As we talked about, that 80% of global trade in oil passes through the Indian Ocean, and that definitely supports India's economic story. Then we have geopolitical importance. We have Belt and Road initiatives. We have China's Blue Water Navy. Apart from that, we have security and maritime safety. You can talk about state of Malacca, etc. And for blue economy, you can talk about deep ocean mission. And in the conclusion, you can talk about free, open and inclusive space, which is on lines with UNCLOS. And at the end, you can talk about Indian Ocean Commission, Sagar Mission and SDG 2030. So this is for question number 3. So answer writing program is a very crucial and very helpful initiative. I hope you are writing your answer. You can check out the questions which are uploaded every day on the portal. You have the option to upload your answers to ensure you are disciplined, and you can get the access, which is YouTube video, the same in the evening, along with model answer PDF uploaded on the YouTube platform. So keep writing and thank you so much.